Hello everybody, welcome to today's tips and tricks video for Town of Salem. Today we'll be talking about the executioner role. The executioner role is a role where you have to get a certain member of the town lynched, and then you will stay the executioner and remain immune for the rest of the day. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is how to actually get somebody lynched properly. These are the best ways I've found to do it, and hopefully they'll be of use to you. So, the first thing I'm going to say is do not attempt to get anyone lynched on the first day. I've found that a lot of the time people will not go for it, they'll say it's too early to lynch and they'll be on to you as executioner immediately. Now this is bad because whoever you target is definitely a townie role. From what I've seen, 100% of the time everybody who's the executioner's target is a townie. Therefore, do not attempt to do it on the first day, it is suspicious and you will get lynched possibly as a backlash from it. Now, I understand that you may be thinking, but wait, what if the guy that I'm targeting gets killed? Well, then you'll turn into a jester and you'll have a new role to fulfill. Now, if you refer back to my jester tips video, that is what will happen. You'll become a jester and you might as well just try and do that instead. Remember that them being lynched is not a loss for you. You will simply lose the opportunity to win as an executioner. However, setting up as an executioner can lead to you being able to become a jester later on. As long as they don't know that you're an executioner at the beginning, you should be able to become a successful jester afterwards. Now, the second thing as an actual executioner is do not be overactive. Simply yelling out in caps lock saying, "Lynch this guy, he's mafia," and just saying it over and over again will only ever work about a fifth of the time, from what I've seen. You don't want to make it look like that you want them lynched really bad, because again, they'll catch on to you. You don't want that. That is a very bad thing to happen. Okay, now the ways that you can actually successfully get somebody lynched, there's quite a few actually. And they're very variable. The first one is to pretend to be a lookout. Now, a lookout can actually see who visits who. So, say you were investigating somebody who died last night, and somebody visited them, you'd know they were the killer. Now, you can fake this as the executioner, and simply say, well, this guy who you're targeting is visited somebody who was killed by the serial killer last night, and he was the only one. Now, you can say that he was the only one, or you can say he was one of two people who visited. This will throw off suspicion off you, as you're not deliberately trying to get somebody lynched. They may actually lynch both of the people you've targeted as a fake lookout. Now, this is good because you might just get them both lynched and win as an executioner. It's also good because if they find it was a fake, and the guy gets killed, then you can continue on as a jester immediately after. The whole idea of that situation is that you'll act as if, well, you must have made a mistake, sorry, apologise, act like you want to live. Acting like you want to live is the number one way to get yourself killed. Okay, the second way you can do it is to pretend to be a sheriff and finger somebody immediately as a serial killer. Now, this way I've found is probably the worst way to do it, because saying you're a sheriff will get you the attention of the other sheriff, at which point they'll investigate you, out you as an executioner, at which point you're stuck in a loop where people won't trust you because there's a possibility of you being the executioner. This is something you don't want. So it's viable, but don't ever do it if the sheriff is already dead, and only do it if you're sure that the townie's going to go for it, because it's not the best way to do it. Now, the other way I've found is the best way to do it is to pretend to be an investigator. You use the exact line on the person. This person works with weapons. He could either be a veteran, a vigilante, or a mafioso. Now, you have to make sure the mafioso is actually a viable role in the game for this to work, and it is the least suspicious way to get somebody lynched, because no executioner in the right mind, or as any of the people in the game will find, would ever try and finger their target as a mafioso. If you use the exact line, and then point out the person, it's very likely the townies will just lynch them just in case. Because the guy who you're targeting will say, no way, I'm not any of those. At which point, people will start to believe you more, because you've given the exact line. And you're more trustworthy than this guy who's just tried to say he's not any of those roles. Now, it is possible he say he is one of those roles. At which point, you just continue on with it, saying there's a possibility he's a mafioso every day. And just remind the townies that he could be evil. Again, you have to make sure that the townies come to their own decision on them being evil. Trying to force it on them will just make them suspect you. You have to be very psychological in this role. The final one is actually to claim to be vigilante yourself. Say you shot them and then they are immune to your bullets. Because the only immune roles in the game are serial killer, arsonist, godfather, executioner, and people who have been jailed. Now, the good thing about this is the jailer can say, well, I didn't jail that guy last night. And then they have to come to the conclusion that they're evil, at which point you get the jailer on side and the rest of the town. So it's a very good way to get somebody lynched. Oh, of course, the main asset in these situations is that the mafia will help you in this, because the target that is normally town role, I've never seen it be anything else. The mafia will also get them lynched as well. Now remember, you are immune as executioner, so you don't have to fear the mafia. The only role that you ever have to fear is the arsonist as an executioner. And even then, if they douse you, just go full on. It doesn't matter what happens. If you get lynched or not, just go full on saying this person is mafia, lynch them. Say you're doused, and people may believe you because you're doused. There's a very sympathetic attitude some townies have, where if somebody's doused, they'll just believe whatever they say. Say you're doused, say that they're mafia, kill them before I die. Bingo. Okay, there's a few things you don't want to do. You don't want to claim anything else late game. If you're an executioner late game, then your only hope is to say you're an executioner and say that somebody's your target who isn't your target. Now, because being an executioner, people won't want you lynched. They'll want to save the lynch for the big roles like arsonist, godfather, serial killer. So only do it late game. Never claim you're an executioner. Early game, say it was like more than 6 people. But this way you'll live. They may lynch the person that you want. Job's a good one. However, it will severely hinder your jester performance later on if your target is killed by a mafia. Now, standard things: don't claim you're a witch, don't claim you're an arsonist, don't claim you're a serial killer. I'm sure you know this, but just saying, it's not a good idea. Executioner is a neutral role, so the only good thing you can possibly pretend to be is a survivor, and as I've pointed out in my other video, survivors aren't liked by either side, as they can vote against either side and they get paranoid. If worse comes to worse, pretend to be a survivor. It's a way to do it. Okay, I think I've gone over everything I wanted to go through. Okay, I'm Magnasaur2, and this has been Tips and Tricks. I'll hopefully see you guys again. Goodbye.